in government side, we were talking about impacts for the government, and then on opposite side, we've seen arguments that support feminism and representation of women as politicians. Okay, firstly, what opening opposition say to us, they say that okay, there will be quality versus quantity, and by creating those quotas, we increase amount of people that do not know anything about politics, but they still go for those quotas and etc. Well, okay. Firstly, I want to rebuttal it by just motivation of people in order not to be shamed, because people that do not know anything about politics, they won't go for politics because they don't want to show themselves as some people that do not that are amateur and in their working environment and etc. Also, we have a very big motivation, because as we see now, we see the world where non-male people are being discriminated in the whole world, because we even see discrimination in the developed world in terms of education, in terms of workplaces, in terms of politics, and we must change it by implementing those quotas. We create opportunity for these people that was that causing opposition told to us. They say that, well, they won't get those quotas, they won't get in politics in a good level, but then they say that it's hard to overcome those barriers, and in order to be a politician, they have to have experience in it. And by creating those quotas, as my partner said, we are giving them opportunity. We say that if you know politics, you can go for politics. No one will disturb you. No one will discriminate you just because you're a non-male competitor. I'm sorry, no POIs. Uh, because you're a non-male competitor, and therefore we understand that those people, they now have opportunity to go for politics, and they will definitely increase their knowledge in politics, because they understand how it's important for the world, in order to show that non-male people, they are the same, they are even better in some cases. And we must acknowledge that people, they always have different opportunities, because from the very beginning, those people didn't even believe that they will have opportunity to compete in politics, to compete in workplaces, to compete in education. And this is very important. And by comparing framings that opposition and government gives into this game, we as government side, we provide impacts for government. I said before, no POIs, please do not interrupt me. As we understand that government always tries to give that policies that always impact government. And by creating those policies, we understand that by increasing competition in society, by adding some people from underrepresented groups, we create more competition even between males, because males now understand that it's very important to even represent views of minorities. And comparing with opening government, we provide an extension that even if those people that are non-male candidates, even if they lose those presidential primaries, they still have big impact on thinking, of shaping in the world, of shaping minds of people towards those discriminated groups, because those discriminated groups are still groups that can participate, that can now learn about politics, that can now provide some impacts to those policies in order to develop, because different views always develop policies. And comparing with opening government, we also provide better evidence that those people, we at least provide evidence that those people, they can win primaries in order with opening government that just provide us impacts what will be if they win primaries. They do not it's very sad, they do not have have opportunity to provide evidence on how those people can win these primaries for now, which we've done perfectly. And now, well, now again, considering opening opposition, they also say to us that minority groups are underrepresented. They say that women are able to get into final elections. And yes, this works on our side because we understand that the whole world understands how it's important for feminists, for people that fight for minorities' rights. The whole world understands how it's important to show that those minorities, they are still good politicians, they are still good people, they still can be better than majorities of the world. And so, and talking about the thing that women are able to get into final elections by example of Hillary Clinton, well, it's perfect. It's perfect example on our side because we, by this example, we rebuttal what causing opposition gives to us. They talk that well, those people, they won't be able to win. We already had examples of winning women that got into the final elections. And now by creating more quotas, we will definitely increase amount of people that go for politics. We definitely increase amount of people that can be better in politics than male candidates. And we understand that in this game, closing government provides better evidence on why government will have good impacts from this implementation, while opposition side gives us only examples why it won't work for feminism, and it won't work for good impacts. It won't get good impacts for government, and I'm very proud to propose. Thanks for opportunity to speak.
We thank the speaker for their fine speech. I stopped flowing at 7:15. Whenever Op Whip is ready, we welcome them to close off this debate. Hear, hear.
Can you hear me?
Yep, loud and clear.
Okay, fine. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Well, dear panel, let me first of all rebuttal the case of the closing government. Let me first of all rebuttal the case of this closing government. Closing government says like two cases, if they lose and if they win. But okay, we think that like you are given a quota, and if you succeed or even if you don't succeed, you feel yourself bad, yeah, as my partner mentioned. So you feel yourself like you did get this position only because you did receive that quota and you are not as qualified as other politicians or other people, so you are less qualified. And they rebut saying that they will increase in knowledge, but we already mentioned that even if you increase in knowledge, there are already social barriers or other barriers that stop you from like getting to high positions, such as like community stereotypes or party support. Like a party are less likely to support as opening opposition claims. So we think that these people will not succeed. So what we propose is an alternative. We say that we are going to give them education so that they will be more qualified in the long run. We will give them education so that they become more educated. And we think that in this case, when we provide like them with more education, when we say that like you receive an education and other stuff, and there are already like perfect examples such as like Hillary Clinton and people, we think that they will go. Whereas when we impose such quota, people like people are not qualified. Yes, they didn't receive that education, that political science education, and they are less qualified than other males. So these people in the society will think that they are not qualified, and it will lead to public discontent with the political structure, and we think that it will affect them. They will feel themselves bad because like they were not qualified to that job. But when we give them an education, they receive that political science or other courses, and they have received an education, and then after like some years of experience, we think that they're perfectly qualified to run for presidential primaries and other stuff. So we think that then closing government case doesn't stand in this debate, that it leads to motivation. It's like they compete with other women, but as we mentioned before, like you are not motivated when you are given quota. Rather, you like you feel yourself bad because you couldn't succeed without such a quota, and this will like trigger you. Okay, then comparing with the opening government give us a number of impacts, like what will happen if we give quotas, but their impacts are based on the premise that such quotas will be productive and efficient. But as was already mentioned, people like women or like non-males who who participate in these presidential primaries, they are less likely to succeed. Yes, as opening opposition claims, such as there are barriers and other stuff, and we have already talked about it, that there are some social stereotypes, and people are less likely to vote to you, and so on. US, why non-males will be less likely to run in like presidential primaries? Like why they will get less support? Because like there is a long-standing history when all the politicians, like almost all politicians were like males and so on, and this creates some stereotypes for like non-males going to presidential primaries. And as a community, we think that in the status quo, they also like emphasize that they are not how to say, they are not sufficient, they are not like sophisticated enough to run for presidential primaries, and we think that it creates mental barriers in these like candidates, and she is less likely to succeed because of that. We think that if you create these quotas, it will not give examples to other people. Why it will not give examples to other people? Because these candidates will be less qualified and they will be shamed by the other public. And so like since they are less educated and they're less sophisticated, people will shame them, and instead people will be less likely to run for these presidential primaries in the future. And so we think that in the case of quota, not only in your short term, like in the long term, there are less people going to these presidential primaries since they will not succeed in them. Okay, fine. Then we think that like regarding the opening opposition, they talk lots about reverse discrimination and so on, but we have given you an alternative, like we have given an alternative saying that it is a responsibility, like it is a principle based on responsibility, that government has moral responsibility in front of the citizens, so that they provide the maximum amount of like political knowledge, like best political candidates as possible. So we think that it is not based on reverse discrimination, and moreover, opening opposition just refutes the claim of the government side, and then never proves why, even if these quotas succeed, they will be, even if such quotas succeed, they will be bad. But we have given you, like in the in the best case of the like government side, if these quotas succeed, these candidates will feel themselves bad, and they will not try to create some revolutionary policies. They will be more likely to to run a campaign that will be like more moderate, or more likely to support like males, since like since like in the subtle squad, they will like vote more to them. And so summing up, we think that the both cases of the opening government and closing government doesn't stand in the debate, because comparatively in our side, we are reaching more people going to political science courses, and then more people attending these presidential primaries. But on their side of the house, more people in the long run do not run for these presidential campaigns. So there will be less people in the long run running for these positions. Thank you.
Thanks to all debaters for an excellent debate. Please leave this breakout room, but not the